This morning, Tim Davie, the BBC's Director General, was a study in survival rather than leadership facing the committee in the House of Commons to describe his performance as second-rate. Is not an insult but an observation, and he gave little clarity, avoided responsibility and spoke broadly in circles. Davie was repeatedly asked to explain scandals that have bruised the BBC, the mishandling of the MasterChef crisis, the disastrous broadcast of Bob Vilan's Villain's Glastonbury set and the pooled Gaza documentary series. His replies were evasive. On workplace culture, he fell back on platitudes. We may see more things coming out, which amounted to a coded admission that scandals will continue. Instead of reassuring MPs that cultural reform is underway, he effectively signalled, brace yourself for the next embarrassment. And the Commons Committee wanted accountability. Who failed and what consequences followed? Davie spoke of well-intentioned people who made a mistake but failed to identify responsibility. This makes him look less like a reformer and more like an apologist for a complacent institution. Even when asked if he had considered resigning, his reply was, "This is not a job for the faint-hearted." Well, it smacked of self-parody rather than leadership. On the prominence given to Nigel Farage in Reform UK, again he ducked the issue entirely. Samir Shah at least admitted that Reform's rise in the polls had led to greater coverage. Davie, however, refused to admit the BBC's news judgment had tilted towards Reform's talking points. He insisted impartiality while simultaneously citing Reform's 30% polling as justification for disproportionate coverage. This is doublespeak. To many, it looks as if Farage has been gifted a national platform under the guise of balance. The catalogue of missteps. MasterChef, Davie defended the decision to air the series fronted by disgraced presenters, a judgment MPs and audiences alike find morally muddled, particularly when at least two of the participants objected to the series going ahead in its current form. In Glastonbury, he admitted, and the BBC lied about that. It claimed only one, Sarah, had been identified as somebody who had objected, and the BBC's response was simply to wipe her out, not to wipe out Wallace and Turode or Tourette's or whatever his name is. Glastonbury, he admitted it was deeply disturbing that the anti-Semitic chants were broadcast, but blamed vague process errors. The anti-Semitic mood spread from Glastonbury and significantly increased because of Glastonbury. The BBC is responsible for that. The Gaza documentaries, he both admitted mistakes and defended caution, managing to appear simultaneously indecisive and defensive. Second rate. Davie repeatedly returned to the mantra, no one is irreplaceable. Well, the phrase was meant to sound tough, but instead exposed the fragility of his authority. If no one is irreplaceable, why has he not taken stronger action against those who failed under his leadership? Why is the BBC still reactive rather than proactive in its cultural reforms? The overall impression was of a man cornered, and rather than projecting confidence, he projected anxiety. Rather than clarity, obfuscation. Rather than vision, he offered bureaucratic hedging. The BBC may still be, in his words, the envy of the world, but under his stewardship, it's also the subject of constant embarrassment. And the BBC's future is contested. The licence fee, political impartiality, and public trust are all under scrutiny, and today was Davie's chance to demonstrate leadership. Instead, he gave MPs reason to doubt whether he has a grip or the grip to reform the corporation. His unwillingness to confront the BBC's indulgence of Farage is especially telling. It suggests fear of the populist right and a misunderstanding of what impartiality really means. Davie left the committee looking more like a bureaucrat clinging on than a Director General charting a course. The BBC cannot afford to have a second-rate figure at the helm at precisely the moment its future depends on first-rate authority. Davie is the wrong person at the wrong time, and he should go.